Welcome back to Step Parenting Network. My name is Lena Shine, and today's conversation is with my good friend Lauren. Lauren is a certified step family coach who brings both professional training and lived experience to her work. She's walked through long distance every other weekend, step motherhood, and transitioned to full-time step parenting for some time, and then later returned to a long distance stepmotherhood role. These experiences give Lauren a well-rounded understanding that while the challenges the step parents face are fundamentally similar, each role carries its own unique emotional and relational complexities. She specializes in coaching long distance stepmoms, a frequently overlooked minority within the blended family dynamic that often face added stigma and misunderstanding. Lauren's passion lies in helping stepmoms feel seen, validated, and confident in their role, no matter the distance. Welcome, Lauren. How are you?
I'm doing good. I worked a full day yesterday, and then I drove 4 hours to get to where I'm at. I have a baby shower later, so I'm on my second cup of coffee. But no, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Do you tend to be like a morning person or nighttime?
I would like if I was a morning person. Like the days that I am able to get up in the morning and get stuff done, I feel so accomplished and good and refreshed. It's just my trouble is getting enough sleep to be a morning person. That makes sense.
I'm with you. I totally get it. I find myself more nocturnal than doing anything in the morning. So I'm half asleep by it now, but we're gonna power through. We're gonna make it work.
We'll get it.
So I know I've been taking a look at your profile and the work that you've been doing, and I didn't even know a lot until I started really paying attention. But I realized that you're a long distance stepmom.
Yes.
And I've never heard of that before. And I think that's so silly because you have parents who don't live in the same states and so tend to be more long distance. But I've never really related that to step parenting at all. And then I thought, gosh, it makes sense. So I'm really interested in finding out how your dynamic works because it looks like you've moved from every other weekend, long distance to every other weekend to full-time parenting to long distance again. So that sounds like an entire range of possibilities when it comes to step parenting, and you have experienced it all.
Yes. So I've definitely developed a well-rounded view of all the different kinds, I guess you could say, of step parenting. And I've just been doing this for 5 years, so it's been a little bit of a whirlwind. But initially, I started off as a long distance stepmom. My husband's in the military, so that's the reason for the long distance. And even though we were long distance, he was still doing every other weekend. We're in Virginia and they're located in New Jersey, and he was driving every other weekend to New Jersey with these kids. So we had that long distance aspect and still that, a need to still do every other weekend. And then we did that for about 2 years. And then we moved a little bit more north in Virginia. So we were maybe like an hour and a half closer to them. But then I got pregnant. So I didn't have a great pregnancy. So he was still doing every other weekend, and I just made myself long distance. I couldn't do the trips anymore. So that was a different kind of step parenting. And then January of last year, overnight, essentially, I became a full-time stepmom. There was just some stuff going on with their mom. The kids weren't in the safest situation, and it was just, they needed to go somewhere and be safe. And we took them on overnight. And then again, with my husband being in the military, there's a lot of training, a lot of moving. He's in a training right now, and they ended up going back to their mom. So now I'm officially long distance again. And the whole reason I even started my page was because I started off that long distance stepmom. Yeah, I had that every other weekend element, but it was still long distance. We were traveling without traffic. It would be 5 hours. With traffic, it was like 6.5 hours every other weekend. And and I would have these stepmom pages to look at, but I was like, literally no one looks like me as far as my dynamic. And there would be some stepmom pages that I would say maybe made one post about a long distance stepmom, but it was very generic because not a lot of people know what to do, even within the stepmom community. Like you said, it's not really heard of. I made a post recently. It's like the redheaded stepchild of the stepmom community, because it's not common. And even if it is something people acknowledge, they don't really know how to handle it because there's so much stigma attached to it. Either it's dad's a deadbeat and that's why you're long distance, or it's why are you complaining you don't have the kids? You know what I mean? Like, you should be lucky kind of thing. But going through that dynamic, it created, okay, sure, physically, I don't have the kids there all the time. I'm not doing the day to day. And that is also kind of like a grieving process you have to get over as far as like feeling imposter syndrome, which is huge. But it's very mentally confusing and draining, and it really brings out a lot of insecurities, right? Because you're feeling like an imposter, like okay, I'm technically a stepmom, but there's all these support groups and I don't even feel like I belong there. I can relate to them on some things, but I can't really relate. And then you're putting yourself into a dynamic where you're trying to find your role, you're trying to fit in, but now at distance, and you kind of just forever feel like you're on the outside. It's super hard to figure out where you fit in and what your role is and to feel comfortable with that. So I felt like it's not talked about enough. And I was like, let's get this ball rolling and get it out there and see who, because I know I'm not the only one. There's got to be others out there like me, you know?
Yeah. Wow, that is very interesting. And I can imagine, because as a stepmom or a stepdad, typically you're trying to figure it out where you fit in all of this. And then to have another layer of complexity where you're also long distance. If you're wanting to create a relationship, how do you create this relationship and develop it? If you're wanting to be a part of the children's life in a specific way, it adds onto that layer of complexity where you're not even sure how to go about it. So I totally understand that aspect of imposter syndrome in there. And I've never thought about that, which makes me understand how important your awareness and your page is. Mm-hmm. So thank you for doing that, all that you do for stepmoms out there.
Yeah, and I think a big thing to touch on is like, how do you build that relationship? You have these children that are so important to your partner that are coming into your life very sparsely or for a short period of time. So there's that mental struggle of, okay, do I just try and be a friend, be the fun person, or do I try and develop this role and this like guidance? Like where do I do that? And then let's say you have a month with them, a week with them, you start to build that relationship a little bit, and then they leave. Now, how do you keep that going from the distance? You know what I mean? How do you keep that connection? So one thing, I thank God for technology and FaceTime and all that stuff, because that was definitely a huge thing that I latched onto to help keep connections. You know, I would have weekends with my stepdaughters where I would have essentially a day and a half to get to know them and relate, and them learn who I am and I learn who they are. But then I would make sure that, you know, even when we weren't there, we were FaceTiming, or when they got old enough, texting and relating in a way where it was really focused on them. But it's just, I felt like when I made that transition to full-time stepmom, they were in my house all the time. We definitely developed that more parent-child connection. But in some ways, I felt like I was connecting with them more when I was long distance from them, because sometimes you get stuck in the everyday routine of things, right? When you're long distance, you really have to focus on the connection, the conversating, and really be more intentional with getting to know them. And sometimes when you're living together every day, you kind of, those are the little things you take for granted, right? You get stuck in your routine, things kind of get mundane, and then you're like, wait a minute, I don't remember the last time I actually really hung out with them. We're just going through the motions of life. So I will say that is one positive I learned that I do appreciate with being a long distance stepmom. Obviously, if they're living with you every day, you do have to make that intentional choice to be intentional and stuff, but it's just a lot easier to get lost in it, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, it's very possible to just live with them without really getting to know them.
Yeah. And just trying to go through the motions of things. But yeah, it's as far as building a relationship with your stepkids and trying to keep that connection, the own mental struggle of trying to figure out where you fit in and what you want your role to look like. Another big thing is when you're a full-time stepmom 50-50, even every other weekend, you start to develop this routine, right? Whatever that is. But I was feeling as a long distance stepmom, sometimes it would be like, there's no routine. When they come to you, it's for short, sparse periods of time. And it's like, okay, I have all these boundaries and I have all these expectations or these needs and wants. Now, how do I implement them in a week, whether it's with my partner for how we do things with the kids or with my stepkids? It feels like whiplash. And it might be for a short period of time, but they'll come and then you are just on go, go, go and crazy and chaos and no rules for like a week or a month. Because also typically when they're coming to you at that point, they're on school break or it's like a break from their everyday life. So they just want to have fun and go. And then they leave and it's just like gone. And it's just the whiplash of it. It's like constant, like really highs and then lows. There's no like, it's hard to keep a constant, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Wow. So do you have a preference in terms of which one you preferred in one season versus the other, or one you preferred above all?
I think what my dream custody would be is 50-50. That's one I've never touched and will probably never get. But having them full time and now being long distance stepmom again, I definitely miss them more than I did when I was just long distance, right? Because I know what it's like to have them in my home every day, and you do build that different kind of closeness, and now they're gone. And then another layer on top of that is I have their sister, or ours baby, right? So my daughter, they moved in when she was 1. Now she's almost 3. And now she's like, where are my sisters? They were here every single day for a year. And now they're not. It's to the point where it's like, it's so sad. But like when I bring her upstairs to give her a bath, I make sure her sister's doors are closed. So like she doesn't see it and she doesn't ask, because it's like, I can't handle it. And so I think I probably would prefer, I probably would prefer full time if I had to choose out of the ones I've done. But like I said, my dream would probably be 50-50, right? But I feel like that's everyone's dream co-parenting custody schedule. But then even with full time, and especially with my specific dynamic, like I said, we're military. So we don't have family around. We don't have that support. So it's just me and my husband. And then like my husband being in training, it would be me essentially solo parenting 3 children. And that's a lot. You know, I don't have that support. I don't have that village.
Yeah.
So it's like choosing what you want. There's pros and cons to everything, but I definitely emotionally feel it more now with just having them full time and now not having them full time. I definitely, that yearning and missing is definitely there a lot more, because I know what I had and now it's gone. When I started long distance, I didn't really know what it was going to feel like having them full time. I didn't know what I was missing in that sense. So I just was that was all I knew, you know?
Yeah. A lot of people that reach out to us in my TikTok community page talking about certain things that I would not be able to share. Um, all anonymous, of course, but just different layered situations and things they've never really told anybody. But then I touched on it. They're like, I experienced this, and I thought I was the only one, but I can't share with anyone because I feel like I will be judged, and I feel like no one would understand me. My partner doesn't know, but it's been something I've been struggling for months.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's been very impactful. Yeah, just hearing these stories and talking to people. I don't consider myself a coach in any way, but my goal is to bring these conversations out loud with other people, for
Yeah.
example, coaches and parents, so that we can have that space, because I think that's something that step parents are really, really thirsty for, if for lack of a better word, or
Yes.
desire. We really crave that space where we're seen and where we can be ourselves without being judged for the way we feel about our situation. And we don't have
Yeah.
that, or I haven't seen anything like that. So I'm very grateful for the platform and also for the stories. So I want to
Yeah.
share one story with you
Mm-hmm.
I got from a parent. And I'm going to read the story, and then we can delve a little bit into the details of it. So she says, I never thought I'd be the one to go through this. I am 35 years old and married. I have two stepchildren, and the oldest is almost a teenager. We have the 50-50 split custody, so we have them on some days every week. Whenever the children leave on transition days, my life is so much happier and more simple. But before I can breathe and settle into a routine, it is transition day again, and the boys are back to my house. What bothers me most is not the fact that they're messy, but that whenever they come back to my house on the first and second day, they seem distant from me, as if they were told not to engage with me. A day or two after, they loosen up, and then things feel normal and they start engaging. Week after week, this happens, and I feel like I have to walk on eggshells with them till they start engaging with me. It is affecting me because my home is my sanctuary. I want to feel comfortable in my home. Any tips on what I can do?
Yeah. That's a tough one. I can understand that 100%, right?
Yeah,
I mean, one, there's that sense of emotional whiplash there because by the time things get settled, it's gone, and all the work that you just did is now like undone. um, but transition days for kids are always so difficult, especially if the houses have different rules, routines, just different vibes of the house. Also, if there is some conflict within co-parenting and one parent doesn't know how to hide it, kids are so in tune with people's energies, like they're sponges. They'll pick it up, you know. So they
yeah,
might I mean, I don't know her co-parenting situation, but they might very well be feeling that, I'm going to a place that my other parent doesn't like, that loyalty bind attachment to it, not knowing what they should do. They don't want to annoy mom. Like if I'm assuming they just came from mom's house. And if she feels like she's walking on eggshells, they probably low key feel the same way, not towards her specifically, but just towards the situation. Right. So it's hard because she's going to want to do something to fix it. What she can fix is how she treats herself. She's not going to fix how her stepkids are acting. Maybe what she can do is on those days, make sure with her spouse that there's a routine so they know what to expect when they come into the home. Every transition day, they get pizza and watch a movie, or every transition day, they just want to go into their rooms and do nothing and be by themselves. That's okay, but at least that's something she'll expect. She'll know what's coming, right? And then for her, okay, the first 2 days, they're going to be kind of weird, kind of warming up to our house and the routine again and getting out of whatever that mindset that they're in. The first day that they're there, I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to go lock myself in my room. I'm going to go read a good book. I know as stepmoms, we're going to be like, well, we want to engage with them. We want them to feel a part of, we want them to feel welcomed. And sometimes we'll want to do. But sometimes that might just be too much for them at that point. They might just need that time to settle in and relax. But that's not a reflection of her, right? It's going to feel like eggshells because she's going to want the vibe of her house to be a certain way. But if you start accepting it and expecting it, it's going to be easier to be like, okay, this is just how it's going to be. What can I do for myself that'll make me feel better about the situation, that will let me relax? And then, like I said, maybe make that structured routine. So they're going to come back and transition is a lot for them, but at least they'll know what to expect. And maybe that will help them kind of warm up each time they come, because it won't be such whiplash for them either.
Yeah. I think I agree with what you just shared. And I know sometimes as stepmoms or stepparents, we tend to only see our side because it's really showing itself to us. And there's a lot of emotions and things that we're going through. But I can only imagine what kids go through with transition days, especially with this. Her situation, she mentioned they have 50-50. And so it looks like on some days they're going to school from their house, and then some days they're going to school from mom's house. And it's confusing. What time do we wake up? How do we get ready? And that alone for a child can just cause a little bit of nervousness because they're not sure how things are going to go, or they forgot how things go at the other house. And so I can understand the kids' experience being confusing and even tiring. And just what you said, what if they had a great time on mom's and they just did not really feel like coming to dad's, but they have to because it's time to go. Mm-hmm. And so that reluctance will be there. So it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult one. But I like what you mentioned, because I think if she is able to just take the pressure off for those first 2 days, it would really help. And sometimes those routines can play into the favor of the parents as well, because the kids just know what to do. And you're right, it would just be pizza night. She maybe doesn't have to cook, so that she gets issues with, I don't like how you made it, or issues with the food, and it could just be favorite movie, and she could just do something that she really, really enjoys with her friends or by herself. I am a huge advocate for that. I've always been a huge advocate for that, but I feel like once I became a step parent, I realized how much it can take a toll on you. And so I became a double advocate for taking care of yourself and doing things that you truly enjoy, because you have to, what do they say now? You have to take the edge off. So
yes. And I also want to just preface, like, a lot of things with step parenting, they're always like, well, think about how the kids feel. And of course you want to think about that, but I don't want that to invalidate how stepmom is feeling either, because it is still that feeling and like that unease. But I think it is good to understand where the kids might be coming from and knowing, okay, is there something I can really do about it? Or is this just something I have to accept, and then focus on what I could do to make myself feel better?
I remember when I first became a stepmom, I just wanted to take the burden off the children in terms of their experience with divorce, their experience, the stories I heard, and I just felt so bad for them, and I didn't think that any child deserved to go through that. And I wish I could just take that burden off of them. And then I realized that once I started thinking that way, I mentally took the burden off of them in my mind, but then I held on to that burden.
Yes.
Because consistently I was thinking about, how do I make that better for them? How do I make things better for them, their experience better? But I can't change the past. neither can I change what they experienced. And so I had a lot of sleepless nights where I would replay the situation. Maybe I was frustrated and I said something, or I got mad at them for doing something. And then because I wanted so badly to take that bad experience, the experience in the past from them, I was judging myself for being frustrated and being human. And I would replay what I could have said, what I could have done, how things should have gone, all night while I'm supposed to be sleeping. And so I'm having those internal conversations. It's going to be very stressful. And these are all internal, so no one else can see it. No one else knows what you're feeling and the weight that you put on yourself. I realized I had to let it go because it was weighing me down and I couldn't do anything about it. It's not my fault that that happened to them, and I can't change it. So, yeah, that's something that I think stepmoms really struggle with. And we need to just let it go because it's not ours to hold.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. To all of that.
Oh, gosh. So, with a stepmom, I guess the advice for her would be to maybe to talk to her partner about how they can make things easier, especially on the beginning stages. What beginning stages? I mean, on the first 2 days when the kids come over and they're setting that routine, or either they can ask them, hey, what do you want to do next week when you come over? Should we have pizza? Or should we have movie night? And maybe they can draw something that the kids are into, whatever it is. But she also said she has a teenager. So the teenager might not feel like doing anything because teenagers are teenagers.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, teenagers in general, you can have them 50-50 full time. They're going to be like, my room, I'm going to go hide out in my cave. And if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But yeah, I think definitely planning ahead, whether it's with the stepkids or with her spouse. And then even just voicing to her spouse, like, hey, I want the children to feel comfortable, and like right when they get here, I don't want them to feel, uneasy. Is there something you think we can do with them to help make their transition easier? Or is there something you think I can do? Do you just want to, maybe the kids just need that one-on-one time with dad for the first night, and stepmom goes and does something. Like, I think communicating with the partner, it's not going to hurt. And they might have some ideas. I mean, it's their children. They also might know things that they might like and would make them feel a little better as well. But definitely having that communication. And I think, like you said, planning ahead, that would definitely take away a lot of the unknown if there's already something planned.
Yeah. And what you just said is so important because sometimes they just come here for dad and not necessarily for you, the bonus parent or the step parent. So just getting that one-on-one time, dad, could be a game changer, and just setting their mood. Maybe when dad picks them up, they can just go do something right away to get that one-on-one time. And then maybe when they come home, they would not even think about any other thing because they've had such a great time with dad, and things are just back to normal again because they're glad to see you because they've spent time with dad. But I that's something I've actually been doing recently. I have been like encouraging and kind of like telling my husband how much I enjoy seeing him and the kids play together. Yeah. It would be maybe like upstairs doing my own thing, and I come down and they're making dinner and they're laughing and they're talking. Mm-hmm. And I probably wouldn't feel like going to join them right away, so I'll just go watch TV and just doing my own thing. And by the time you realize one of the kids have come into the living room and they're showing you something, and they're just okay with you being there because you're not in their face trying to bond with them all the time, but you're present, but you're not really like in their face wanting to interact with them. It will make pressure off where they would feel like, well, I can just talk to her because she's not always trying to talk to me, and I have something to show her now, so I'll show it to her now versus always trying to have a conversation, which might be awkward for the child.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the right word, but this is the right word that came to mind. They won't feel like suffocated. Like sometimes they
Yes.
just want to spend time with dad and just with dad. And that is, I mean, trust me, if you were to tell me 5 years ago that my stepkids don't want to spend time with me and just with dad, I would have been like, oh my God, they hate me. What did I do wrong? But that takes a lot of understanding. It's not personal. It's not you, whether it was you as their stepmom or another person as their stepmom. They might just want time with dad. Even forget a blended family. I'm just thinking about my own daughter. Sometimes my daughter wants me. Sometimes my daughter wants dad. Like, it's okay in general to not be doing everything together. Sometimes kids just want to spend time individually. That says nothing about you personally, but it definitely does help the kids get that one-on-one time. And like I said, not feel suffocated by a presence that's constantly forcing their way there.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know she didn't say anything about having biological children, but that could also be something that they could do if they have a good relationship, like a close relationship with their stepbrother or stepsister. They could just organize like a little play session, maybe for the little one, maybe not too much, not for the teenager, because the teenager might not necessarily want to play that level of play, but have some bonding session just between the kids, or just take the kids out for ice cream with dad. Then you can just enjoy some time.
And then you're kid free for however long that is. Enjoy it. Go.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question for you. So, just when you mentioned kid free, so I'm curious. You had your stepkids, and then you had your own biological child.
Yes.
Just before the transition of having your biological child, what are some of the fears that you felt with having your child, bringing your child into?
A lot. So, I mean, the first and obvious one is, what if my stepdaughters hate her or they don't like her? You know what I mean? Or they don't have a good relationship, or they feel that divide. Like, that was my biggest fear. I didn't want them to feel that divide. Not that there is one, but feel like, okay, it's been, because I have two stepdaughters. The ages, so I'll give you the ages. So right now, my daughter is almost 3. My middle stepdaughter is 9, and then my oldest is 14. So I literally have like one of each stage of life. Yeah. So when my daughter was born, it was 12 and 7, 12 and 8, 12 and 7, I think. So my biggest fear was they just weren't going to like her. They were, 7 and 12, and this was a baby that's going to come in and take all of Dad and Lauren's time and feel some way about that. I also was worried about if their mom would encourage the relationship with my daughter and not make it seem like that's just your half sibling. I'm lucky, and she does very much encourage that relationship. But that definitely was a fear at one point. Fear of even bringing my daughter into this dynamic and knowing I don't have at that time, I didn't have my stepkids full time, and having to see really important people in her life constantly come and go. Like, what's that going to do to her? You know what I mean? Like, people that she loves are always leaving. Like, that's not a good thing to translate into your adulthood. That's going to cause some issues, like that's definitely a fear. And then with them being long distance at the time, and now again, how do you keep their relationship close to each other? There were a lot of fears. I actually did, I'll share this, some of my initial fears, I guess you could say, came true in a sense, but my stepdaughters did have a hard time transitioning. When they found out I was pregnant, they were super excited. But then I think when she was born and they saw how much time she was taking in attention, obviously, because she's a newborn, they were like, whoa, we did not expect this. They didn't, my oldest especially, because my oldest stepdaughter and me, like, she's just been my girl since day one. Like we've clicked instantly. And now there was another being here taking away my attention from her. And that was really hard for her. And then they were also getting confused with the dynamic. My oldest stepdaughter, I'll never forget this. We were all eating dinner. My daughter was like 3 weeks old, like she was fresh. And she goes, okay, so dad and mom had us together, but since you and dad have Aria, that's my daughter's name, together, does that mean we're still your kids? And
Oh my.
I can't even just like, it's like, these are children. These dynamics are so complex for them that they sometimes really don't understand. It is a lot. And I just remember I was like, you were mine before my daughter was mine. Like you're never like you're mine. Like you're ours. Like you're our kid. That's never changing. She's just like an addition. And it's such a big transition. And then the transition of when you're a stepmom with no kids coming in, you're learning how to be a motherly figure, I guess you could say, for the first time, period, ever. You have nothing to really reflect on. And then you become that biological mom to this child, and you're like, whoa, this is an intense feeling, an intense love, an intense feeling of protection. That is similar, but it's different.
Yeah.
And I also didn't want them to feel that. And I think we do a very good job of not letting them feel that. But it's a fear because also just silently, I guess you could say, I felt guilty. Like the love I have for my daughter is so immensely intense. And the love for my stepchildren is also immensely intense, but they're just different ways.
Yeah.
I'm one that very much am like, biology is biology. Like you can't change it. We're all animals at baseline. Like I created this thing innately. I am protecting, loving, like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But my stepchildren, they were the first children that I experienced that kind of love with and closeness and bond. And that's something completely beautiful and different that I'll never have with my daughter. And what I have with my daughter is something completely beautiful and different that I'll never have with my stepchildren. But that doesn't mean one's any less than the other. It's just different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think we need to normalize that as a society and accept that because a lot of times step parents, stepmoms hold that guilt within and feel like they're not being good to the stepchild just because they might feel differently with how they love is love and they will love their stepchild as much as they love their biological child, but it's just in a different way.
Yes.
I remember I made a post about treat them fairly but perhaps not equally. And some people sided with me, some people did not. But the truth is, they still have two parents, and you're the addition, but your biological children also have you and their other parent, their dad or their mom. And so you need to also give them that amount of love and attention that they might need. And we need to normalize that because that's okay.
Yes. And I know, of course, there's nuances of blended families where either mom's not in the picture or stepmom or stepdad adopts and stuff like that. So, of course, you're going to have your situations where there's the exceptions, right? But generally, this is the case. And we do need to normalize that for sure.
So these, I have some rapid fire questions for you. Don't think too much into it. It's just what the answer is.
Okay.
We just want to learn a little bit about you. So there's 7 questions here, and I'll start. Ready?
Go.
Okay. One word to describe step parenting this week.
Complicated.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think parents will definitely agree at some point, depending on what their unique situation. Oh gosh, I think I know the answer to this one, the second one, but coffee or silence? What do you need more right now?
Coffee. I want to say both.
Okay. Is step parenting harder than you expected or just different?
Harder. Period.
Okay.
Yeah.
What comes more, patience or frustration?
Now patience. Earlier in my journey, absolutely frustration.
I think I agree to that. I would definitely pick more patience now because earlier it was frustration.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's a recent moment that made you laugh after you wanted to cry?
Oh God. That's a hard one. Maybe watching a funny meme. Nothing to do with step parenting. Something probably just happened, and then I watched something funny, and I was like, "Thank God I did," because I needed that.
Okay. All right. Would you choose this life again? Yes or no? No explaining.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's something people assume about step parenting that's totally wrong?
They're the homewrecker.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Let's talk about that. But people think that.
So I think I've noticed it more since starting my page. And these are people that don't know me through a hole in the wall, right? But I'll make a video that has nothing to do with anything the comment is, and I'll just get then don't take a man from their family. Don't take a woman's husband. Like, you have no place in his family. Like, just let mom and dad be together. And I'm like, ma'am, like, we're not, just because I'm a stepmom doesn't make me a homewrecker. Or especially when I was a new stepmom, if I would tell people I was a stepmom, I would immediately get like the face, or like the silent, okay. Like,
Yeah.
we're not like the plague. We're not like an ick. Like, just the amount of times I've been met with that, I'm just like, wow, okay. It's interesting.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, I've seen a few comments from people that talk about just don't date a person with children if you want to complain about it. But I think it's a bit hypocritical as well because if these people who are perhaps putting that out there or commenting or saying stuff like that, if they had children, their argument would be, yes, I do have a child, but I also want to experience love. And so don't take that away from me because I have a child. So I find it a little bit hypocritical for people who say that because they would want their children, if they had children and were not married, to still have love. So why would you want that for your child or your friend? Because everyone knows someone who has a child outside of being married or being divorced before, every adult. So are you saying that they don't deserve love too?
Right. Yeah. Like, at that rate, half the population would be single, Yeah. And obviously it's a lot of projection from their own experiences, most likely. But yeah, no, that comment makes absolutely no sense to me. It's like, I think, okay, if you are aware of what you're about to step into, which is very rare. I didn't know what I was getting into, most like any other step parent. But if you, for some reason, have that ability to see the dynamic, and if it's conflictual, and then you're like, I'm still going to join. Maybe it'd be like, okay, maybe you shouldn't have picked that. And then maybe there you'd have a choice in not dating a man with kids. But realistically, like, no one knows what they're getting into, and everyone, no matter their past, is still deserving of love. You can't just say, oh, you had kids, that part of your life's over. Have fun being lonely for the rest of your life. Like, you can't do that.
And like another layer to think about too is that children sometimes, every child deserves to be in a happy home. And what if to grow up in a home or to be a part of a happy home? And what if mom and dad being together was the child's worst nightmare and the child was not in a happy home? how much of that would affect the child as when they grow to become an adult versus dad meeting someone that he loves and the house is peaceful and there's joy at home and the children are part of that. So I don't think people think too much into it when they just make comments like that.
Yeah, they
And to actually make no, they don't think into it. And to actually make a comment like that, it tells me a little bit about your level of reasoning on how you think versus you wanting to bash. And so when I look at it, sometimes I feel sorry for people who just make comments like that. It doesn't really faze me, but it just tells me a little bit more about you. So,
yeah. When I get those comments, I typically write, "I'm so sorry that's your experience. That must be so hard for you."
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's some healing that needs to be done for them to be able to comment like that. And some people have tried step parenting and perhaps had the worst experience or left.
Right.
I'm going to sit here and say they shouldn't have left because I don't know their specific situation. But then just because that didn't work for you doesn't mean it won't work for anyone else or anyone else in that situation should leave too.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed this conversation today.
Me too.
And nice getting to talk with you. And I'm hoping that we have some more conversations come up soon. But if you can tell us, where can people find you?
So I can be found on TikTok or Instagram at Blended by Distance. I am a certified step family coach. I had gotten my cert, beginning of 2025. But then my life kind of changed overnight, so I put that off. So now this year has been digging my heels into that. So I'm almost done with getting the whole logistical side of it done. So hopefully I will be coaching legitimately within the next few months, maybe 2 or 3. And then I could venture from just my social media pages and like actually diving in and coaching. So I'm really excited about that. But yes, at Blended by Distance on TikTok and Instagram, and then my website, blendedbydistance.com. Not ready yet, still working on it, but that will be out soon. And then you can reach me there as well.
Awesome. Love that. Great. So yeah, thank you for coming up and having this conversation with me. Very nuanced, what your experience has been, but I'm pretty sure someone out there definitely has had this experience, and I know that our conversation today will be impactful for them. So thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I love your page. I think it's great what you're doing too. So thanks for that. And you want to talk again, just let me know. We'll chit chat.